Hey everybody, how's it going? How's everybody doing today? Great, great. Happy to hear it. So today we're gonna play a game. Today we're gonna play unboxing. You guys guess what is in the box. We've got this, and we got this bad boy right here. So let me know in the comments section what you think about it. Also, like always, shoot me some questions. I am here to answer them and all that good stuff. So, should be fun. Heroes Comic Volume 2. No. Brad Pitt's wife's head. No. No, surprisingly not. I do not have Brad Pitt's wife's head. We're not playing What's in the Box. Although, good reference, man. I love Seven. Seven's a fantastic movie. Let's see. All right, we'll do this one first. Thoughts on... I am not answering that. Story... All right, first question. Wind Whisperers or Hey Hardcover, stories you enjoy but everyone hates, and stories you hate but everyone loves. From Argentina. Hey, how's it going, man? So stories that I enjoy but everyone hates. I've actually said this a lot. I'm not a fan of Chris Ware's books. I think for the most part they're pretty terrible and they're pretty boring. So Jimmy Corrigan is on that list of stories that everybody seems to love, but I am not a fan of. Now, stories that everybody seems to hate that I enjoy. Most recently, let me think. A lot of Mark Millar stuff. Miles per Hour. I've enjoyed that. Mark Millar stuff really yeah, well, tongue twisted. Mark Millar stuff recently has been really, really good. He's been doing fantastic, and everything that he's been putting out lately, in my opinion, Huck, MPH. There was that book with Sean Murphy that was absolutely awesome. So he's somebody that is cranking out a lot of stuff that I personally am a fan of right now, even though he's fallen off of the good graces of fans recently because he's known as the guy that he will take books and he basically will just auction off the rights the moment that he publishes something. I think he's auctioned off pretty much everything that he's made at this point to make it into a movie. But, you know, he's trying to make money. I gotta respect the hustle for that. Trillium or Underwater Welder? Underwater Welder. I could actually finish Underwater Welder. I didn't care for Trillium too much. I actually kind of thought that Trillium, for the most part, was kind of boring, to be honest. I couldn't slog through a lot of it. I love the concept. I thought the concept was interesting, but for the most part, did nothing for me. Did nothing for me. Underwater Welder was deeply affecting. It was very, very well done. I absolutely loved Underwater Welder. It's one of those stories that once you read it, it really hits you deep in the soft spot, man. Superior Foes of Spider-Man Omnibus. No, that is not what's in the box. And again, Brad Pitt's wife's head is not in the box, unfortunately. For some reason, I can't go and find it, and I need your help. Do you know which X-Men run Storm appears? No, actually, I don't. That's a good question. I don't know which X-Men run off the top of my head Storm appears. Somebody that would actually probably know that is Riley, the Omnibus collector. He's a big, 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 big X-Men guy. He's read a lot of X-Men, so I would actually say shoot him a question. Shoot him that question. He'd probably be able to get back to you on that. He's a huge X-Men guy. He knows far more about the X-Men than I do. My favorite Constantine story, Dangerous Habits. Dangerous Habits, for those of you that don't know, is Garth Ennis written Constantine story, and in Dangerous Habits, he is dying of lung cancer. This sounds familiar. That's because they got the premise of it from this sounds familiar. It's because the movie Constantine got the premise from this run. It's a legendary run, and I highly recommend that you read Dangerous Habits. So great. It's one trade paperback. It's like 5 issues. That is, for a lot of fans, the definitive Constantine story. It's really spectacular, and in the end he gets a one-up on the devil that I went, oh my gosh, that is amazing. It was Garth Ennis when he was first starting out too, so he's not as great as he is now, but he's still a very, very, very solid writer at the time. So I recommend you do check that out. It's really great stuff. Thinking about diving into Sandman. Read the first trades, so I know I will love it. Now I can't decide between the absolute editions or the omnibus. What would you recommend? Man, go big. Go for the absolutes. The absolutes are beautiful. Absolutely spectacular. I love the absolute Sandmans. I reviewed them probably like 2 years ago. I know I'm due for a re-review of them because I didn't actually delve into as much as possible. I didn't, explore the concepts of Sandman. I didn't explore what's actually in the absolute editions like I should have. And now that I'm doing a lot better reviews, I'm doing better content, to speak less, I think that Absolute Sandman is something that I recommend to anybody that has a passing interest in it. It is one of the best Absolute has ever published, and it's also one of the first Absolute editions that DC published, and they haven't really been able to top it, in my opinion, until recently when they put out the Absolute Preacher, which is just so close to it. It has to be an action figure in the box. It is not an action figure, actually. I'm not big on action figures, surprisingly enough. I mean, I'm not a statue or action figure guy. Those are nice, but I don't know. I mean, they just kind of take up space and they're there. Not knocking you guys that are huge on action figures or are huge on that deal. I actually, when I get something, I actually want to get some use out of it. I know, I'm crazy. Even though, there is a Hellboy statue that I am absolutely dying to get. Fortunately, it's like $500. It is gorgeous. Oh my goodness, I can't wait. I'm fingers crossed. My birthday is coming up soon. That I can pick it up. So you just ordered an Annihilation Conquest. Hugo Roy. Annihilation Conquest is really good. I know a lot of fans are actually fans of Annihilation more than Annihilation Conquest, and there are fans that are more crazier about Annihilation Conquest than Annihilation. I personally love Annihilation more. I think it is fantastic. It sets up the DC, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and the Marvel Cosmic Universe. I'm all tongue-tied up tonight. Sorry, guys. I just went to the dentist and I'm still a little woozy. The Marvel Cosmic Universe so well. It introduces you to so many great characters. And before that, a lot of fans really didn't know who Richard Rider Nova was, who Rocket Raccoon was, who Star-Lord was. Those were characters that were just left back in the 80s and in the early 90s, and nobody really gave a damn about them. But once they did Annihilation, all those characters went to kind of the forefront of the DC, of the Marvel universe. And man, Annihilation was something that Marvel really needed. And what's sad about Annihilation is the fact that it was released during the time of Civil War, and Civil War kind of cannibalized everything that Annihilation was doing, because everybody was paying attention to Civil War, and nobody was paying attention to what was going on in Annihilation when they should have been. Civil War is an okay event. It really is. It starts off so well and so strong, and it has a great premise. However, for me, Civil War teeters off towards the ending, and what they do with Captain America, for me, was really out of character. There were a few moments in there where I'm like, okay, it doesn't really make sense for Captain America to do this. It doesn't make sense for his character to act this way. I'm not crazy about this, especially if you were at the time reading Ed Brubaker's run. Read Ed Brubaker's run and read his tie into Civil War, and then read what Mark Millar was doing with Captain America, and they kind of clash at each other. It didn't feel right. What do I play? Do I play video games? Yeah, man. I play a lot of video games. I'm playing the new Deus Ex right now, and that is fun. Actually, what I want to do, and here we go again, what I want to do, is that I'm planning on getting an Elgato. And for those of you that don't know, an Elgato is a capture card. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it a Patreon exclusive where I will post once a week kind of a Let's Play of something that I'm playing, and I do commentary on it. That's, once I start getting Patreon rolling, and that'll be kind of a subscriber exclusive thing. She-Hulk for Netflix. Oh man, She-Hulk for Netflix would be awesome. That would be a really great thing they could do it like The West Wing, where it's kind of like this criminal investigative story where she's a lawyer and things like that. And they could also focus on her superpower. Man, She-Hulk for Netflix will be a fantastic. That's one character that I think would translate so well. Live to Rock, what's up, man? Hellboy Library Edition, Volume 5, out of print. Yes, it is, as far as I know. I haven't really looked into it, but I have been reading online, and I've been hearing from people that the Hellboy Library Edition Volume 5 is out of print. For those of you that haven't picked it up, I would wait. I wouldn't pay a massive amount because Dark Horse is, unlike Marvel and DC, really, really good at keeping a lot of that stuff in print. A lot of the Hellboy Library Editions have gone out of print in the past. And I'm talking about massively out of print for about a year. And then they just suddenly solicit them and they get reprinted. Hellboy, you got to think about this. Hellboy, for me, is the linchpin of everything Dark Horse right now. They have a lot of licensed projects and they have a lot of, good things there at Dark Horse, and they have a lot of great side projects. But to me, Hellboy is synonymous with Dark Horse. A lot of people, when they think Dark Horse, they think automatically Hellboy. So they're going to keep a lot of that stuff in print because it only benefits them, really. Lloyd Wong, I just got the last Scalped hardcover, been reading it based on your review, and I love it so far. Great pickup, man. I'm so happy you enjoyed it so far. How great, have you finished it, is my next question, and how great is it? How great is Scalped? For those of you that have never read Scalped, oh man, I check out my review, but Scalped is fantastic. All right, so I'm gonna wait another, let's wait 10 more minutes, and then I'm gonna unbox this, and you guys can see what I've got in there. Also, for everybody to know, this week's review is going to be up a little bit late because I haven't finished reading what I'm going to be reviewing. I haven't even started it, really, but I'll show you why in a moment. And I'll show you why because it's this. What's in here is what I'm going to be reviewing this week. And yeah, I haven't gotten a chance to sit down with it because I just got it today. Cloak and Dagger Netflix show confirmed. I'm not a fan of Cloak and Dagger. And not because I hate them. Just simply because of the fact that I've never read too much of them. Is Hellboy any good? Oh, man, yeah. Hellboy is fantastic. I could go on and on for hours on Hellboy. Honestly, I could brag about how great Hellboy is non-stop. I recommend anybody to pick up the first 2 trades of Hellboy, and oof. Dark Tower. Am I excited for the Dark Tower movie? Yes, Jax. Yes, I am definitely excited for the Dark Tower movie. Idris Elba, Matthew McConaughey. How can I not be excited? I know there was a lot of hubbub about fans of Idris Elba being casted as the Man in Black, and and it is what it is. As not the Man in Black, as Roland. But to me, it is what it is. It's something that this day and age you kind of have to ignore that. They're taking a lot of liberties with books and things like that. I'm just curious how they're going to be able to truncate and squeeze everything in Dark Tower into kind of like a 2-hour movie. That to me is going to be really interesting. Matthew McConaughey better return for the same. Oh, Matthew McConaughey is great. Best Green Arrow run. That's going to be a toss-up. There's a lot of Green Arrow runs, and a lot of people love Green Arrow, but he's a character that's never really had too long of a run. I recommend anybody they pick up the Jeff Lemire and the Kevin Smith Green Arrow runs. Jeff Lemire's run is the more modern day take on Green Arrow, and it's really, really good. He does amazing things with Green Arrow, and he kind of breaks Green Arrow down to his very essence of who he is. There's also, oh my God, Green Arrow Year One. Green Arrow Year One retells the Green Arrow origin story, and it is amazing. If you are a fan of the Arrow TV show, read Green Arrow Year One because they take so much inspiration from that, from the first few episodes. It's basically all Green Arrow Year One. The whole bit about the island, the whole bit about it getting stranded and him not having any technology, that's Green Arrow Year One, and it is, oh, so great. Mr. JSA. Just ordered all three omnibus of the JSA. Did I bite off more than I can chew from Lance Vance? You may have. And the reason behind that is because the JSA omnibuses are huge. They're great runs. They are fantastic reads, and they are fun as hell. But you might have bitten off a bit more than you can chew because you're probably going to be reading those for the next year if you are a slow reader like myself. How many Saga hardcovers are there? By Max Giles. Currently, there is one Saga hardcover. However, they have announced, I believe, that the next Saga hardcover is coming out in the spring of next year. I'm kind of disappointed in that because I was really hoping to see a Saga hardcover for this year for around Christmas or November. However, doesn't seem to be the case, so a bit disappointed there. On the bright side, though, we do know that we're getting another, not Manhattan Projects, another East of West hardcover next year, and that's going to be great. Morrison's X-Men Omnibus will get a reprint this month. Is it worth it? From Yaxis Taxis. I am of the opinion that I think Morrison's X-Men run is one of the best modern day X-Men runs, but it is a bit hard to get into. And the reason I say that is because, you know, like Grant Morrison, it's a bit trippy, it's a bit wordy, and it's not for everybody. Now, the significance of Morrison's X-Men run is that he essentially said, here are the X-Men, here are all of these characters. However, nobody's explored it as a school, and nobody's explored other mutations, because until Morrison jumped onto the scene, everybody thought, oh man, all these X-Men powers, how cool would it be to teleport? How cool would it be to, you know, shoot laser beams out of your head? Not everybody in the world is going to get really cool powers. Some characters are going to end up like Beak, some characters are going to be deformed, some characters are going to be a little bit more different than others. And I really like the concept of what Morrison introduced was one of my favorite concepts for the X-Men, and they really haven't done anything with this concept, was that he introduced a special class, for lack of a better term. And basically what the special class was, it was a group of kids that had, in a way, kind of disabilities, and in a way, kind of shortcomings, and they were a little bit more beaten up than the other kids. And it was a really interesting examination because it kind of examined a whole school. Because when you look at a school has the troublemakers, a school has the punks, it has the jocks, it has the kids that have disabilities. And Grant Morrison explores all of those concepts in his X-Men run, and they are awesome. And let me tell you this, Zorn, for whatever happens, you know, if you've never read it, I do recommend you read it. But the character of Zorn is an interesting revelation when it happens, and I'm of the opinion that once the revelation does happen, that was Marvel interfering in Grant Morrison's run and basically saying, you have to make it like this. Because if you don't make it like this, fans will get pissed off at you. I really did not like the reveal of who Zorn was, and you'll find out as you read the run. You know, but I think that Grant Morrison, for the most part, he did a good job on it, and he sticks the landing. So yeah, I do recommend it. Yeah, Live to Rock. See, I'm in agreement with you. I think Marvel was the one that actually ended up dropping the ending, and you can tell that there was a lot of Marvel interference at the end of that. What is the best run on Batman before the New 52? Man, that's actually a really hard question because Batman's had so many legendary runs. You're gonna hear a lot of people say that the Frank Miller one was the best, the Neil Adams run was the best. There are so many great runs. I think it's almost impossible for you to say what was the greatest run of Batman because every writer that pretty much has taken on Batman for better or worse has left their stamp on the character. Review Max Giles, review more Magnolia Verse. I plan to. I actually plan to review more Magnolia Verses sometime in the near future. 5 more minutes, and then you guys get to see what I got in this box. How would you recommend collecting big series like Y the Last Man and Fables? Do you know what editions are out there? For Fables, they have the hardcover editions. For Y the Last Man, they have the trade paperbacks, the hardcovers, and the absolutes. For Y the Last Man, I'm going to say I recommend that you pick up the hardcovers simply because of the fact that, if I'm not mistaken, they come with the first 2 trades inside of it. And Y the Last Man is one of those series that, like Preacher, it's good. It's really good when it starts out. However, it gets better as the series goes on, and it really picks up steam in the second collection. So I do recommend that you pick up the hardcovers and see if you like Y the Last Man. It's one of my favorite series of all time. Now, Fables is interesting because Fables is a series that to me has went on way too long. And in a way, kind of the writer himself even admits that it went on too long, because I think it was after issue 70, 75, after they beat the main protagonist of Fables, the story keeps going. And in that issue, it basically says that a lot of stories end, and this one is coming to an end in this section, but you can keep going if you want to, or something along those lines. And that to me was when the series actually started petering off. Now, if you want to keep reading, by all means, go ahead, but after about halfway through Fables, it just went, yeah. I still haven't even finished reading the series. I heard it got better, though, towards the end. Max Giles, I'm thinking of getting all 12 trades for BPRD instead of forking over for the cash for the Omnis. If you want, that's absolutely fine. I do know, and I haven't looked at it in a while, but I do know that the first 12 trades, the Plague of Frogs arc, has been collected in hardcovers that are out of print, and the trade paperbacks that are like the hardcovers, they're just in trade paperbacks. And I think for the most part, those are still in print. And I think you can easily find those. However, I'm not 100% certain. DJ NL the Beast. Do you like the Man of Steel by John Byrne? I have never read Man of Steel by John Byrne. It's one of those runs that I have always had on the back of my to read list. However, unfortunately, I've never had the chance of actually reading the entire thing. I'm going to say that if DC ever puts out an omnibus edition for John Byrne's Man of Steel, I will pick it up day one, because I've heard nothing but great things. I've heard John Byrne's Man of Steel run is nothing short of legendary. What he does with the character is absolutely great. Now, John Byrne as a person, I've heard he's a bit of an asshat, but we're not going to get into that here. After I buy all the Hellboy library editions, what hardcover do I buy for Hellboy next? I actually have my Hellboy reading order video that you can check out, but there is currently no hardcover for Hellboy. After the Hellboy library editions, there is the two trade paperbacks of Hellboy in Hell. The first trade paperback came out, and the second trade paperback, if I'm not mistaken, is due out sometime by the end of this year. My thoughts on Fear Agent. Fear Agent is one of the best books I adore Fear Agent. Beautiful art by Jeromo Pena. Oh my goodness. And Tony Moore. Come on. You know, you should definitely read Fear Agent if you've never read it. It's a great space opera. Harold Lauda, excited for the Black Lightning TV show. I mean, not really. You know, Black Lightning is a character that I've never been too crazy about, but you know, I'll give anything a shot, man. Essex County. My thoughts on Essex County by Daily Tudo. I've never, you know what, I have it. I have it on my shelf, and it's right there on my to-read list after I finish what I am going to be reviewing this week. Speaking of which, I think it's time to unbox one of the two books that I am going to show you. So the first one is the one that I'm going to be reviewing this week. And that is going to be, and it's going to be late. I'm warning you right now. It'll probably go up Saturday, if not Sunday, at the absolute latest. The Omega Men by Tom King. I haven't read it. I've heard great things about it, and I'm super pumped to actually read this. I've heard amazing, amazing things. And this looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. So I've got one more box here. It's a big one. But yeah, I'm planning to review the Omega Men this week. So that is going to be really, really great once I get my hands on that. Brazil has a hardcover for Hellboy in Hell. Does it? I know there's a Hellboy in Hell hardcover that was actually a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive for a while. And I know that there are certain shops here in the US that actually got copies of it, and they're selling them. So if you can get your hands on it, by all means do so. I mean, there's nothing really different about the hardcover editions of Hellboy in Hell from the standard editions, other than the fact that they are hardcovers. So I know there's nothing really there, but I've heard great things that they look nice on a shelf. So there's that. Is there any author that can top Scott Snyder's Batman run? Right now? I mean, look, there's Scott Snyder right now is the go-to guy. Scott Snyder right now is what Jeff Johns was a few years ago. And by that I mean that they're trying to give Scott Snyder the all-star treatment. They are putting Scott Snyder's name on as many books as they can because, hey, Scott Snyder sells books. That's just a fact of life. If you stick Scott Snyder's name on a book, people will be interested in it. They'll flock to it, and they will absolutely go nuts over it, even if it's kind of mediocre, like a Swamp Thing run was. But do I think that somebody's gonna be able to top it? Yeah, sure, of course. It just takes somebody with a fresh perspective on it. Tom King's run has been pretty good so far, and I'm interested to see where he goes with it. I think it's the farther it goes along, the better he's getting. He seems to be discovering more of Batman's voice as he's writing it. I don't think he's got it down packed 100%. I just played catch up actually with all of Tom King's Batman Rebirth issues, and for the most part, they're pretty good. Now, I'm not crazy about the way that he treats Alfred in there, and I'm not 100% sure if he gets the dynamic of Alfred and Batman all the way. I'm not sure if I'm reading it wrong or not, but the way sometimes that Alfred acts to Bruce and the way Bruce acts to Batman, I'm like, Bruce would never really act that way. And there were a few times where I was like, that seemed more like Archer and Woodhouse, the way that the dialogue was written. But it's a different take than what I've been used to. I think we've been spoiled for so long by what Snyder was doing with the character that it's a new writer. It's natural that there's going to be change after something that you're used to for so long. You're kind of hesitant to give it up. So Charles Soule's Swamp Thing is way better than Snyder's. I agree. I actually agree with that, Lift to Rock. Charles Soule's Swamp Thing is way, way better than what Scott Snyder was doing with the character. Honestly, I was massively disappointed with what Scott Snyder was doing with Swamp Thing. And you talk about a writer that was on fire at the time. Scott Snyder was one of those guys that at that point he could do no wrong. And then he wrote Swamp Thing. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't, horrible, but, I just didn't care for it. Harold Lauda, did Armin ever respond? No, and in fact, I don't think he even gives a damn about my channel, and I'm fine with that too. I don't think he would respond in the first place anyway. Yeah, it is what it is. He probably doesn't care about me. Boo-hoo. Snyder and Capullo's final issue of Batman was really good, and I'm excited to see what Snyder and Capullo do next because we know they have a project coming up. They've said that once Capullo is done with what he's doing with Mark Millar, that he would love to work back with Scott Snyder, and I really want to see them on an independent book where they can cut loose and they can actually write whatever the hell they want inside of their black twisted little heads and inside of their black twisted little hearts, because I think what they do come up with will be absolutely legendary. Man, I want to see those guys really cut loose at Image or at Dark Horse or at Vertigo, and you got to think you got to think those guys have got a free pass. They could go up to Image tomorrow and say, "Look, we want to do this book," and Image will just go, "Yeah, whatever you want to do, man," because that book will sell like hotcakes. 812 Lance Vance, do I think Jeff Johns will still write comics, or do I think the DC movies will keep him busy? We're already seeing Jeff Johns kind of step away a lot from comics. What was the last thing that Jeff Johns wrote? He wrote Rebirth, and I'm not entirely sure. Has he really put anything out since Rebirth? He co-wrote the Green Lantern story. I don't think he's been writing anything else. The guy's super busy, man. And it's unfortunate. He's a great comic book writer. He's one of the best writers that we've had in the past, 10 years. He's fantastic. But, things like that happen. He's trying to oversee so many different projects. He's going to be super busy. You would like to see Snyder on Hellblazer. There's a run. Ooh, yeah, Scott Snyder on Hellblazer, man. If there was ever a writer that was meant to write Hellblazer, I would actually give it to Scott Snyder. Really, really, really good choice. Any recommendations for TMNT comics? I heard the Ultimate Collection is really good by Jax PK. Hold on. DJNL The Beast, has Jeff Johns ever done a bad comic? Yeah, actually, his Avengers run wasn't that great. It was pretty mediocre. Jax BK, any recommendations for TMNT comics? Absolutely. The IDW TMNT comics are fantastic. You want to talk about reimagining the characters of the TMNT for a modern age? Read the IDW run. Amazing, amazing stuff. Not only were they able to reimagine the characters, reinterpret them, give them new origins, and tie it back to ancient feudal Japan, but the fact that they were able to get the original writer, Kevin Eastman, to give it its blessing and to be a co-writer on it speaks so highly of that run. It is such a great run, man. Honestly, you owe it to yourself to pick up that run if you are a fan of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And the IDW oversized deluxe hardcover editions are great. They are really, really well done. Now, I heard the first hardcover collection had some binding problems. I've had that one, and I didn't have any issues with it. I thought it was actually a very, very, very solid run and a very solid hardcover. Let's see. Had huge hopes for The Dying and the Dead, but Hickman is taking his sweet, sweet time. Yeah, Hickman's one of those guys that you got to give Hickman about 40 issues in order for him to come up with the grand finale. And he plays the long game. Hickman's one of those guys that he plays the long. It works. If you want to take a look at it, look at his Avengers and Secret Avengers run. Really great stuff. Really great payoff. However, it takes forever to get going, to the point where it's just annoying. It's annoying for about the first 20 to 30 issues, and then you get boom, 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 boom. Just everything that he set up manages to pay off. I'm not a fan of that writing style, and I think a lot of Hickman's independent work is far, far stronger than a lot of his Marvel and DC work, simply because of the fact that it seems like he has more freedom. East of West is a great example of that. I think East of West is absolutely the best thing that Hickman is writing right now, and I think hands down, nothing that he has written has topped East of West. Live to Rock, but those 40 issues are great. They're great. They are great. Hickman's stuff is great for the most part. The problem is it's all plot. That's my issue with it. It's all set up for something bigger, and I get what he does. I get his writing style. It's just something that doesn't appeal to me. I respect the man immensely, because in order for him to plot out every single thing that he does, it must be like crazy. I expect Hickman to kind of be like, one of those guys with like a huge beard and like long fingernails, and he's peeing in jars, and he's got like a whiteboard with like lines all over the place and stuff like that. I expect him to be like that. But I've actually heard him in interviews, and he's actually a pretty cool guy. And what's fascinating? I am of the opinion that once Secret War ended, that was supposed to be the end of the Marvel universe. That was supposed to be a point where Marvel could reboot. However, they decided at last minute, no, we can't reboot. So we're not going to reboot at all. That really annoyed me. That was kind of something where I was like, oh, come on. Because if you saw Hickman's Twitter account, probably 4 or 5 months before what ended up happening in Secret Wars, what he wrote was, "Stupid Hickman, why would you ever plot out your stuff so far in advance?" or something along those lines. And everybody was tweeting him like, "What are you talking about? What are you talking about?" My opinion, and this is crazy fan theory, was that Hickman had set it up to reset the Marvel universe completely, but Marvel decided at the last minute, yeah, we're dropping that. We're not doing that. Thoughts on Deathstroke in the solo Batman movie? Absolutely. I'm excited for that. I saw the little sizzle reel that was going on, and I was gonna do a trailer reaction, but ultimately I thought this is kind of stupid for me to do a trailer reaction to something like this. There's really nothing to it. There's no substance there. It just shows, Deathstroke walking to the camera, and he pulls out his blade and all that stuff. I was like, okay, this is pretty cool, but there really isn't enough substance here for me to do a trailer reaction to it. And I've seen a lot of guys like do reactions and breakdowns and stuff like that. I'm like, there's really nothing here. It's cool. He's wearing his Arkham Origins outfit basically, or his, the Arkham Knight outfit from the video games, but other than that, there really wasn't anything there for me to react to. I mean, I'm excited for it though. I love Deathstroke, and I think if he is going to be the villain of the solo Batman movie, more power to him. I think it'll be a fun ride all the way through. Elijah De Castro. Marvel should do a new 52 style reboot. I am not opposed to it. Actually, I'm one of the few people that I say Marvel should reboot their universe. It can't hurt. You know, I mean, they're constantly putting out new number ones every damn week, and I just can't keep up with it. So yeah, go for it. Reboot the entire universe, man. Go nuts, you know? My thoughts on Invincible. I actually answered this last week. Invincible's a great read. Invincible is a fantastic read. And if you are a fan of Robert Kirkman's stuff, I recommend that you do read Invincible. All right. Box number 2. Let's see what we got in here. Any guesses? Again, not Gwyneth Paltrow's head. Sorry. And how should I collect Invincible? Trade paperbacks are fine. I think Invincible also has the Hey, what's up, Diego? I think Invincible also has the compendiums like the Walking Dead stuff. Overall, do I prefer creator-owned work or comic by the big two? Oh man, we're gonna get into it in a minute. Here's the thing: it's gonna be a hipster thing to say, but I prefer, honestly, the creator-owned stuff. And this is what I got: the Uncanny X-Men Omnibus Volume 2. Yes, it is being reprinted later this year. However, I couldn't wait, and I wanted to get it again. So I ended up trading somebody on the Facebook group, and yeah, that's what I got. I've been really dying to read this. For those of you that don't know, this omnibus actually has, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, Days of Future Past. It has the continuation of the Phoenix Saga, or the start of the Phoenix Saga, and a lot of good stuff in here. So I've been dying to read that. What do I think about Invincible ending at 144? I think it'll be awesome. Back to the other question, though. Do I prefer creator-owned comics, or do I prefer the standard Marvel DC stuff? I'm more of a fan of creator-owned books. I think creator-owned books are great, and I think for the most part, what we are seeing is that, especially Marvel, these events, they are killing the market. These events are getting out of hand. You have an event like every other month, and people are getting tired of it. Now, what I'm noticing also is that people are gravitating more towards Image more than ever before. Image has actually had one of the largest market shares in comics in recent memory. They, other than the big two, they have been dominating, and I mean absolutely dominating. If I'm not mistaken, I think they said that they've had like, I think it's like 12% of the market share, 7% of the market share of comics lately that are being sold, and that is a huge number for an independent company, even if, you know, Image might not be as independent as it once was. But absolutely, I prefer independent books for a lot of different reasons. You know, the writers can do whatever they want. They can control the story. They can control the pace. They have all the rights to the story. And for the most part, you know, Image lets them do whatever the hell they want. Yeah, I'm really excited to dive into this, J-Rocks. Really, really super excited to dive into this one. This is a continuation of Chris Claremont's legendary run on the X-Men, and I have volume 3 and I have volume 1, so this is going to help my OCD out tremendously. Anybody else excited to pick up the Amazing Spider-Man Omnibus Volume 2 next week? That's been out of print for a while, and we're talking about the John Romita Stan Lee run. I think it comes out next week. I'm not sure, because I know for a fact Amazon has it listed for November, November, but people were saying they were looking on in stock trades coming soon section, and it was listed for next week. So we'll see what happens. But I'm super excited for that. I want to pick that up. I want to pick that up, and I want to pick up BioShock the collection. But money is tight as always. You want to Harold Lauder? You want to read Lock and Key Masterworks Volume 3? I think that comes out in October. When a run you want is out of print in hardcover, how much will you be willing to drop on it versus the paperback form by Billy Bob? That's an depends. Right now, I am dying to get my hands on Annihilation. No, I'm not going to pay the outrageous prices that some people are paying, like $300, $400, $250 for it. I'm just not going to do that. That's, to me, is just dumb because of the fact that the trade paperbacks are still out there and I can get them in that format. They're just a little bit harder to come by. So I'm not one of those collectors, and by all means, if you are one of those guys, more power to you. If you are willing to spend $200, $300 on a single book, that's all on you. But for me, for the most part, no, I'm just not one of those guys. I just don't see any appeal in blowing that much cash on it when there are so many other forms to read it, especially now that we have Marvel Unlimited and we have digital comics that I could just go on my tablet and go, okay, I want to read this here. What do I do for a living? I've answered that before. I'm a teacher. I'm a school teacher for special needs kids. Absolutely. By the way, guys, tweet Marvel reprint Annihilation Omnibus, please, because everybody, I've been dying to get it. How do you get a hold of the Ennis Punisher Max hardcovers? I heard they are hard to find. The Ennis Punisher Max hardcovers are absolutely difficult to find, and they are ridiculously overpriced. What I recommend anybody do is to go on Amazon or go to In Stock Trades or go to any other online retailer, and you pick up the Ultimate Collections. They contain, I think, if I'm not mistaken, 3 trade paperbacks in each one, and there's nothing wrong with them. They are great reads. They're fantastic, and they'll be a lot cheaper than trying to bust your butt to try and pick up the hardcover editions of it. Is Marvel Unlimited worth it? I think so. I actually think Marvel Unlimited is worth it, and I really want to see DC come out with something like that. For those of you that don't know, is Marvel Unlimited is their subscription service. And what it does is that you get basically all of Marvel's back catalog digitally. Think about it like the Netflix of Marvel. Think about it like the Netflix of Marvel. And the only catch is that all the books are 6 months behind what's current right now. So Bendis's Daredevil omnibus needs a reprint. The hell was that? That was the stereo system in my background going off because my girlfriend is watching a movie. What she's watching, I don't know. What are you watching, baby? She's watching American Horror Story. No, I'm not murdering somebody in the background. I promise she's very much alive. Haven't yet picked up any of the DC Rebirth #1s. Which one do I recommend the most? I recommend Tom King's Batman, and I recommend Green Lanterns, Superman. Out of all of them, surprisingly enough, out of all the ones that I recommend for Rebirth, I would have to give it to Superman. Rebirth for Superman is absolutely what he needed. Whoa, what happened in the picture there for a second? Yeah, that was strange. For those of you that don't know, they are reprinting Ed Brubaker's Daredevil run in omnibus format. That was an omnibus that went out of print a few years ago, and now they are suddenly reprinting it. What's strange about that is they didn't reprint Brian Michael Bendis' Daredevil run before Ed Brubaker's run, and Brian Michael Bendis' run leads into Ed Brubaker's run a lot. So if you just went out and you thought, oh, awesome, I can pick up the Ed Brubaker Daredevil omnibus, you can absolutely do that. However, you are missing about half the story. I don't know why they decided to go that route, especially since Bendis tends to be their golden boy over at Marvel. And it's kind of interesting, and I'm curious to see the reason why. And that, to me, that tells me that eventually we will get those Bendis Daredevil omnibus reprints. They have to. They absolutely have to. Elijah de Castro, to get into Hellboy, before I read the comics, should I watch the movie? I would actually tell you to read the comics first before you watch the movie. Because if you watch the movie, it's going to color your interpretation and what you think Hellboy will be in the comics. And the movies are nothing like the comics. They are absolutely almost nothing at all like them. So I always tell people, read the Hellboy comics and then watch the movie. Now, the movies are good. They're okay. They are what they are. But for the most part, I always tell people to wait it out, read the comics, enjoy it, and then, yeah, watch the movies. Thoughts on Dan Slott? I think Dan Slott is way past due to jump off of Spider-Man. He's a great writer. Man, that guy gets so much crap from the fans. But, you got to give it to him, though. He's a great writer. And to be honest, Dan Slott is one of those guys that he gets a lot of crap from the fans. And sometimes rightfully so, because he is immature sometimes on Twitter, and he does respond to fans in a way a bit poorly. But I've met Dan Slott in real life, and I've actually been to a con, and he was super, super chill. He was a really cool guy. Marvel should reprint the Ultimate Spider-Man omnibus and print the second run. Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. Whitebeard, my favorite Teen Titans run. You got to go with the classic, Marv Wolfman. Come on, that was the definitive Teen Titans run for a long, long time. And to this day, most people would agree that nothing has topped Marv Wolfman's run on Teen Titans. Now, I would say Jeff Johns comes in at a close second in this Teen Titans run, even though, throughout the stories it kind of gets samey. There's a pattern that he follows throughout the entire run. But it's a really fun ride all the way through. Billy Bob, what do I think of the Wonder Woman run? I think I dropped it. I actually dropped the Wonder Woman run, and I am in agreement with you. I think it will read much better in trades. It's definitely a long game story, and I'm not too crazy about what Greg Rucka is doing in it. And that's probably my least favorite Greg Rucka book, aside from Queen and Country. I actually just dropped Queen and Country because I just couldn't finish it. And I tried. I really tried to finish Queen and Country, but I just couldn't slog through it for some reason. I was reading it, and I was like, I'm losing interest really fast in this, and I can't put my finger on it. Why? Maybe I'll jump back into it later on, but for the most part, I dropped Queen and Country completely, and I'm not reading it anymore. Mainly because I've got so many other things to review and so many other things to read that I just don't have the time for it. If it doesn't keep me interested, I drop it. Do I read Marvel Essentials or the Epic Collections? Neither. I just wait for the omnibus for the most part. And I know a lot of that stuff won't be reprinted in omnibuses, but I'm a sucker for an omnibus. Do I sell single issues? How do I go about doing it? Um, eBay. eBay or my local comic shop. That's how I go about doing it. I don't own that many single issues anymore, to be honest. Not that I don't like collecting single issues. I'm not that type of person. I'd rather have a nice sturdy hardcover collection than that. So, quick question: how many of you have actually read Omega Men? Is it as good as they say? I'm interested to hear. I like the concept of it. So I'm going to sit down with this tonight and actually start this. I haven't read Black Magic. Do creators for new comics always know whether The series are going to be an ongoing series or a predetermined length. What a lot of times you'll do, what a lot of times creators will do is that they will have kind of things mapped out for about 5, 10 issues at the most. Because nobody knows if a comic is going to be a hit or if it's going to be a flop when it first comes out. So they'll have 5 to 10 issues written out. That way, if it does well, they've got a little bit of a buffer room that they can figure out their way to 11 issues, to 12 issues, to 15 issues, and they'll keep it going. Now, if it doesn't do well, they've got those 10 issues, they've got a certain endpoint, boom, they can end it right where it's at. A lot of fans loving Omega Man. Wow. Okay. Okay, I'm definitely going to check it out. I'm definitely going to read it tonight. Am I reading Civil War 2 in singles or waiting for an ultimate collected edition? I'm not reading Civil War 2 at all. I'm tired. Look, I am gonna play the old comic book grump right now and tell you, I, I am absolutely tired. I don't want to do events anymore. I'm just skipping through events anymore. I'm like, all right, great events, yeah, whatever. If it's good, I guess I'll read it later on. But for the most part, I've gone through so many events with Marvel and so many events with DC, and I'm just tired of events, man. I've got event fatigue, especially Marvel. Do we really need another event? They already have an event planned after what's going on right now. I am done with the events, Marvel. Absolutely done. I don't want another event. Was Tom King really a CIA agent? Yes, yes, he was actually. He was a CIA agent, and he worked in Afghanistan during the events after 9/11. So Tom King is actually a badass in real life, and he's a comic book writer. You know, fun fact for those of you that have read his series right now. I'm blanking on the name of the Sheriff of Babylon. For those of you that have read Sheriff of Babylon, he has to get every single issue approved by the CIA before the issue can get put into print because they are afraid that he will leak out like CIA interrogation stuff and like real stuff that was going on at the time in Afghanistan. So if you're reading Sheriff of Babylon, chances are it's slightly based off of what King has done in Afghanistan. What do I think about delays in events? Civil War has had many delays. How do you think it affects the impact of the event? I think delays in events kind of kill the steam of an event. We saw it recently in Secret Wars. We saw it during the original Civil War, where delays happen, and Marvel's got to keep publishing comics. So what do? They keep publishing comics, and it ruins the ending of events. We saw it during Civil War, and we saw it most recently during Secret Wars. And it's kind of interesting to see events get delayed because if an event gets delayed, other comics get delayed because they have to make up for those events, and so on and so on and so on. Basically, it just causes a giant train wreck, which is kind of the reason why I don't care about events anymore. If I see Civil War 2 has been published and everybody's like, yeah, you got to read Civil War 2, I'm like, it can wait. It can wait. Daily Two Dope. Events are the reason I dropped single issues and don't read much Marvel and DC. I'm kind of the same way. Honestly, I am reading the least amount of Marvel comics that I've read possibly my entire life. Possibly. Because it's just too much. It's too much. They've already got another event planned out after Civil War 2. And I'm pretty sure they've got another event planned out after that event. I'm done. I'm done. Honestly, I am done. There are a few books at Marvel that I'm still reading. I think, yeah, they're pretty good. Vision has been great. Miss Marvel is constantly great. And, Power Man and Iron Fist, which, if you aren't reading, has been really great. I haven't read the Civil War 2 tie-in issues, although I've heard they're loosely tied in. You know, but there are a few things here and there that I'm reading from Marvel. I'm like, yeah, I'll stick with this. You miss Bruce Banner. I do too. I miss Bruce Banner also. Black Widow. Black Widow is awesome. I've heard Black Widow is awesome. I mean, come on, it's Mark Waid and Chris Samney, the Daredevil team. Of course, Black Widow is going to be good. I've heard really great things about it. I haven't read it yet. Right now, DC is killing it. Absolutely. DC is killing. Rebirth was what DC needed. Rebirth came at the most precious time that they absolutely needed it because of the fact that their comics were floundering for a long time. Their movies, you know, say what you want, they're making money. The movies are making money, but they're not critically the best thing in the world. And they're not that great, in my opinion. And Rebirth was the kick in the pants that DC needed to get their shit together. It really was. Like, they have been just kicking ass. Every single book that they've been publishing after Rebirth, for me, has been great. We're talking about Green Arrow, Superman, Action Comics, Detective Comics. What else? Hellblazer just came back, and I've heard great things about that. Man, I could go on and on. Flash. Joshua Williamson is killing it on Flash right now. Joshua Williamson is great, and I've been saying this for years. Joshua Williamson is one of those guys that people have been sleeping on him for a while, and he was writing Image Comics, and he was writing indie comics for the longest time, and he was kicking ass, but nobody was paying attention to him, and it seems like now that he's writing the Flash, he's finally getting the recognition that he deserves. Will they ever do a Blackest Night omnibus? I don't know. I mean, I doubt it. They've got Absolute Blackest Night, and they've got a few other things going on. I doubt we'll see that. My top 5 favorite writers. I've answered that before. What is my favorite Superman run? Grant Morrison's run on Superman. Of course, I'm talking about All-Star Superman. Hmm. Oh, the chat is really blowing up right now. Locke, is it worth waiting for Saga for hardcovers, or is it better to go with the trades? I'm reading Saga actually in single issues. I'm reading it digitally. It is the perfect way to read it. And once the hardcovers come out, I pick it up. Now, if somebody that wants to decide between trades and hardcovers, I need my Saga fix as quick as it can because I love Saga. But if you can wait for the hardcovers, I do recommend you do. However, the trades, they come out a lot quicker. Is All-Star Superman worth the absolute? Absolutely. Oh, yes. Yes, yes, yes. All-Star Superman is definitely worth picking up in the Absolute edition. Frank Quitely's work in Absolute format, oversized and beautiful and gorgeous, is absolutely worth it. There are some panels in there that just look absolutely stunning, man. Is Batman Year One Absolute Edition worth $112? I haven't gotten it, so I really can't tell you. Based upon what I've read, I mean, it's only 4 issues, and they're charging $112, even though I've heard that they've also included the Okay, so DC is so fucking slick with this. Okay, so they know for a fact that, and this is what I've heard, I haven't done research on it, I haven't looked into it. They know for a fact that fans won't pony up $112 for just 4 issues of comics. So what they've done is that they've taken the original coloring of Batman Year One, and they placed it at the beginning of the story, the first 4 issues, and then in the back they placed the same story with the recolored edition that came out years after. And they're saying it's an oversized deluxe edition, it's got special features. So what you are getting is essentially Batman Year One twice. You're getting this original color, and you're getting the recolored version. Really? Really, DC? Again, haven't done my research on it. This is just what I've been reading online. And if it's true, that is really lame because you didn't have enough content for a proper absolute edition, so you are cramming it in there and you are trying to pad the shit out of it. Bulb 276271602. I find it hard to buy DC Absolutes when I've been spoiled by Dark Horse hardcovers for a fraction of the price. Absolutely, I agree. Man, look at the Goon library editions. Look at the Hellboy library editions. Look at anything that the Dark Horse is publishing out with a library edition on it, and they kick the crap out of the events that are going on, out of the stuff that's going on right now with the DC Absolute edition. They're quote unquote absolute stuff. Are you going to journey on for I Am a Hero volume? Yeah, I'm actually going to pick up the second volume of I Am a Hero. I'm going to give it a shot. I am going to give it a shot. I know I said I am. I have the first one and I wasn't too crazy about it. I actually gave it a borrow, but we'll see how. I know it gets a lot creepier and a lot more grander and a lot better as it goes on. How long am I going to be on? I'm probably going to be on for at least another 10, 15 minutes. I don't want to go on too long because these things go on as long as they do. Speaking of Goon, have I read Powell's Hillbilly? No, actually, I'm actually really excited to read Eric Powell's new series, Hillbilly. I know it echoes a lot of what was going on in Goon. By the way, what happened with Goon? Is Powell done with Goon? Has he said like he is absolutely done with Goon? He's not interested in the character anymore. Is the series done? Because I've been hearing mixed things about it, and I only read Goon in the library editions. Will they ever release a deluxe edition of Frank Miller's Batman Year One, Return Strikes Again, All Star, and the current stuff? I'm pretty sure they have. I'm pretty sure they've released a few deluxe editions. They've released absolute editions of most of that stuff already. Why does everyone hate the '90s? There's there's a ton of reasons for that. The '90s signified a lot of times for the extreme era in comics, where it was all about story. It wasn't all about action. It was all about big muscles. It was all about you know big belt buckles, things like that. It was just excess, basically. The '90s were all about excess, and in a lot of ways, the '90s almost killed the comic book market because they kept flooding the streets with variant comics, and people kept buying them think that their kids are going to go to college off of these comics. And eventually people found out, yeah, my kid isn't going to go to college. And comic book stores just had a shit ton of books sitting on the stands that nobody were buying. And that caused the comic book crash. And we almost didn't make it out of it. So the long story short, that is the reason why a lot of fans hate the '90s. Plus, a lot of the art style from the '90s is just garish as hell. It's really, really ugly stuff. Ugh. Oh, Zack Snyder is totally a '90s comic guy. You can tell. You can tell Zack Snyder is a '90s comic guy. Zack Snyder is one of those guys that you can absolutely tell he loves '90s comics. He loves the big, bold action scenes. He loves, just in-your-face bombastic actions. And I don't think he's a guy that has really studied and read comics as that have evolved in the past even 5, 10 years. Because in the past 10 years, what we have seen is that comics have evolved to a new medium. They have evolved to the point where they have taken on more of a literary concept. They have taken on the grand, not, they've taken on kind of a longer story format. Comics as a medium has evolved to the point where it's interesting because story seems to be right now taking precedent over art, which was the opposite thing in the '90s. What's the strongest thing about the DC Extended Universe? The strongest thing right now in the DC Extended Universe would probably be, I agree with you, Yankees, the visuals. The visuals are probably absolutely the best thing that they have going for them. They know how to set up shots. They know how to give you action scenes that are really fun. But other than that, there's just no substance there. Wonder Woman Omnibus by George Perez. Never read it. Batman and Robin Eternals, again, I've never read it. Although I've heard Wonder Woman's by George Perez is a great run. And I've met George Perez. He's actually a really cool dude. If you ever get a chance, I was looking at the Facebook group for omnibus collectors today, and George Perez at his con, at this local con, is going to be doing $40 head sketches, and they are nice head sketches. They are really detailed stuff. For a guy as big as George Perez to still be doing $40 head sketches, that to me is awesome. honestly awesome. You got guys that thought like Neil Adams who came to my con probably like 4 or 5 months ago, and he was charging about $75 to sign a book. 75 or $50 just to sign. No sketches, no nothing, just to sign a book. Ridiculous. But you know, those guys can charge that. Yeah. Rudy Soul, what website do I buy my books from? In Stock Trades. Yeah, I always get my stuff. I mostly get my stuff from In Stock Trades, or on the rare occasion, like this week, where I wanted to read Omega Man and I wanted to get the review out by the end of the weekend. I order from Amazon just because I get that 2-day shipping and I get it to my house really quick, and I risk it. You know, I risk the poor packaging and stuff like that. Do I think Warner Brothers should have Snyder step down possibly as cinematography or as visual director? I think Snyder is a great visual director. That's what he is. And I think he's a great cinematographer. He knows how to frame shots. He knows how to set things up, and he knows how to direct action scenes for the most part. You know, I've had a few problems here and there. But as a director focusing on story, and as a director focusing on character development, and as a director focusing in on fleshing out a good and coherent narrative, no. They need somebody else for that. And it's kind of the reason why I'm excited to see Ben Affleck take over the reins of the Batman movie, because I really want to see what a director who actually is very well at all those things and can shoot and direct great action scenes will do with a character like Batman. Because when you think about it, the warehouse scene in Batman vs Superman was really cool. It was a really well done, really well shot action scene, and I'm really interested to see what Ben Affleck can do with the character. That since he is such a great director, he can do action scenes, he can do quiet scenes, he can do thought provoking scenes. Ben Affleck as a director is really one of those guys that he was a joke for the longest time, but man, he's been killing it right now. For me, he's about 3-0 right now. The guy hasn't missed a beat in all three of his movies. Argo, what was that movie he did? Gone Baby Gone was great, and there was a movie where he was a bank thief, and I'm blanking on the name right now, and it was really good too. Am I excited for the Scalp TV show on WGN? Yeah. Oh yeah, man. The Town. Yeah, that was the movie. The Town. The Town was so great, and I think actually The Town is his second best movie. Although there are some times where I think Argo was a bit better. Yeah, The Town was basically Heat 2.0. That's basically what it was. And I love Heat. Heat was great. Michael Mann. Excuse me while I get a quick drink of water because I am dying. Hmm. Huh. Jeff Lemire's art is kind of an acquired taste. What do I think of Darwin Cook? Am I going to get the Batman Ego Deluxe Edition? Are they putting out a deluxe edition for Batman Ego? I mean, Darwin Cook is my absolute favorite artist of all time. And man, you want to talk about heartbroken. I was absolutely heartbroken when Darwin Cook passed. I learned that the day I was going to a con, and man, whew, that was rough. That was a real sad con for me. I don't mind Lemire's art. I can't get into Matt Kent's art. It's an acquired taste. I'm not that crazy about Matt Kent's art. I know the guys from 11 O'Clock Comics love Matt Kent's art. That's a really popular comic book podcast. It's actually a really fun listen if you ever give it a chance. They love his art. I can't get into it. I thought Mind Management was good, but it felt like the story kind of got away from him the longer it went, and I just lost interest in it. My favorite horror comic. Alan Moore, Swamp Thing, or Lock and Key. Those would be my choices. Lock and Key is amazing. Oh God, I can't wait for them to come out with a TV show. What do I think about American Vampire Volume 8? Is that the space one? I haven't read American Vampire in a while. I'm wanting to jump back onto it, but I think that's the one where they go into space, if I'm not mistaken. Do I read manga? Yes, on occasion. On occasion, I do read manga. I want to read One Punch Man. I've heard great things about One Punch Man. I've heard it's fun, at the very least. But I've also heard it's not that great either. Yeah, I'm the same way. Bulb, I'm the same way where horror comics don't really freak me out. What horror comics do is that they set up tension really well and they set up pacing really well. And for the most part, nothing really gets under my skin too much when I'm reading horror comics, except for a few books here and there. One such book that absolutely just sent chills down my spine was Uzumaki, which I talked about this on last week's stream, is a horror manga that is probably some of the most creepiest shit that I have ever read. It is absolutely just bone-chillingly freaky, the art. And one word, spiral. That is the word of the day if you are interested in reading Uzumaki. I live to rock. Witches didn't do it for me. Witches really did not do for me, man. I don't know what it was. I tried to get into it, and the story was great. What it was Jock's art and all the splotchy art on the pages, all the coloring where it was just like random dots just thrown all over the pages. I just couldn't get into it. I thought for the most part that was kind of lame. All right, guys, 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes. The story was great in Witches. It was just the art. Is Uzumaki more scary than Attack on Titans? Uzumaki makes Attack on Titan look like My Little Pony. Most creative world in comic books. Hellboy. Hellboy to me is the most creative world. Hands down. What Magnolia is doing that, and that is great. Have I read Vagabond? I haven't, actually. I've heard great things. I have the I have the Visbig editions. I just haven't sat down and read it. Have I ever heard of Daniel Keem, aka Kimster? Keemster? No, not. Elijah Castro, you want me to talk about Suicide Squad? I am not talking about Suicide Squad, sir, because I posted my review on that, and I got the most hate that I think I've ever gotten on my YouTube channel for that review. I seriously got a lot of people hating on me. I actually, you know what? Some guy actually sent me a death threat through my messages because of the fact that I did not like Suicide Squad. It is my first, so that goes to show you, maybe I am making it after all on YouTube. I should get the Lemire Green Arrow hardcover. I do. I want to get it. I didn't actually get to see Damian Mize Fast Fight. Mm. All right, guys, but I'm gonna call it for tonight. Okay, this has been fun. I should be back on Sunday night, and yeah, Sunday night will be the next night I do streaming. Look for my review of Omega Man. It's either gonna go up Sunday or it's gonna go up Saturday. I doubt it's gonna go up tomorrow though. I just don't have the time for it tonight. So. And I also have a recommendation for a Flash video, how to start reading the Flash. That's gonna come out sometime the end of this week. I've filmed it. I just need to edit it. All right, later, guys. Have a good night, everybody.